What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of MLB action here on Saturday, May 4th. Kind of frustrating results there on Friday. We did see the Orioles come through. That was a win. We got a win on the Texas KC under 9, and that one came through. And we saw the Houston Astros come away with the win at -115. That was our biggest bet of the day, so at least we got that one right. But other than that, it was kind of tough out there. We had the Detroit Tigers looking good the entire game, and then giving it up in the ninth. We had them at +142, and you see them give up a one-run lead in the ninth inning. That feels pretty bad. Cleveland, they're going right there on the do not bet list. We're not taking that one anymore. The Mets, they tried, but that was a really crazy, weird game. Not what we would have thought would happen in that one at all. The over hit in the Toronto-Washington game, that's not what we saw coming. Those two teams scored a ton of runs. That was really weird. So kind of a weird day overall, but not a complete disaster. We're going to go ahead and move right along here. Let's get back in there and find some value on a very deep Saturday slate. First, do me a big favor, guys, and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today, and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be down in the pinned comment below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the New York Yankees, and it's a day game in this one. The Tigers come into this game looking to bounce back from that really annoying blown save situation. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Casey Mize. He's off to a 1-0 start with a 3.08 ERA, so the guy hasn't figured in a lot of results this season, but he's pitched relatively well. His last time out against the Royals wasn't dominant exactly. He gave up 2 earned runs, 3 runs overall in 5 innings of work against the Royals, so not a fantastic outing. The start before that, though, he was dominant against the Twins. The start before that, he was very good against the Rangers, so really probably his last start was his worst start of the season, and in general, the Tigers have to feel very good handing him the ball. They're 18-14 on the season. Their hitting hasn't looked amazing. I mean, they obviously are coming off of a game where they only scored 1 run, but, you know, things can happen like that. This hasn't been a great offensive team, and it's not really a team that we expected to be that good offensively this season, so we'll kind of take it as they are. I mean, I don't think we're going to see them score a ton of runs, but they've shown the ability to push some runs across the plate. They're going to need to score some runs for sure here against the Yankees, although the way New York's been hitting the ball lately, I don't really think you can bank on that. They did come through there in the ninth inning and managed to eke out that win, so they're up to 21-13 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Clark Schmidt. He's off to a 2-1 start with a 3.19 ERA, and he's coming off of a very good start against the Orioles. We only gave up a single run. It was on a home run, 3 hits over 5 2/3. That will definitely work. We've actually seen the Yankees win 4 out of the 5 games that he started this season, so they can't feel too bad handing him the ball, but they do have to be pretty concerned here about their hitting. It just has not been good. Don't really know what the problem is, why this team can't pull things together and start scoring some runs. I mean, they're 4th in the majors in terms of on-base percentage. And guys, over their last few games, they've scored 1, 2, 2, 2, 0. Like, they're just not scoring any runs. They had that weird outburst against the Milwaukee Brewers, and then things have just gone absolutely flatline again for the Yankees. So looking at the numbers for this game, it's a little bit tough to peg this one. I think we are kind of leaning here towards the Tigers, although we're a little bit scared off. I mean, they're at +142, and do we really trust either one of these teams to put up a ton of offense? How much do we trust Schmidt? I think we trust him a good amount, but if you're really wanting to find value in this game, guys, I think it's with the under. Obviously, both of these teams are going to have some sort of breakout offensive performance eventually, but right now they're both showing big trends to the under, especially the Yankees, who are 20, 12, and 2 to the under this season. We see these teams coming off a 2-1 game last night. Give me under 8 in this one. Next up, guys, we got the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. We saw the Cardinals get the 3-0 win here in game 1 of this series. White Sox not having a good time. They're 6-26 on the season, so can't feel too great about that. They are handing the ball here to Eric Feedy, who's off to a very good start. He's 2-0 with a 2.60 ERA, coming off a dominant performance against the Tampa Bay Rays. We've actually seen the White Sox win 2 of his starts this season, which is very impressive. He hasn't taken a loss all year long despite pitching for like the worst team in the majors, so that's pretty impressive. They can definitely feel good handing him the ball, but other than that, they don't have anything to feel positive about. They're coming off of a shutout, just not having a good time. They're dead last in basically every major hitting category, so we're not going to waste a lot of time talking about these guys trying to hit the ball because it's not something they've been doing. They're going up against St. Louis Cardinals, who are having kind of a rough start to the season. They're 15-17 overall. This isn't a team that we thought would struggle quite this much, although, I mean, there were a lot of unknowns coming to the year. They're hitting the ball in this one to Lance Lynn. He's off to a very good start to his season. He's 1-0 with a 2.64 ERA. He only gave up a single run his last time out against the New York Mets. That was a game the Cardinals unfortunately lost in extra innings, so not ideal, but in general, he's been very, very serviceable this season, even against some pretty decent teams, so the Cardinals will definitely take that. They would like to start scoring some more runs. They did score 3 in game 1 of this series, but yeah, guys, that's not like a crazy number from the Cardinals. Obviously, basically all of those runs were due to Nolan Arenado, and they had their best pitcher out there on the mound. So Lance Lynn, still good, but a little bit of a step down there from Sonny Gray for sure. Looking at the numbers in this game, we see the Cardinals are big favorites at -178, and that makes sense. We see the White Sox are +164. They're 1-13 on the road this season. So, guys, we're not really too enthusiastic about taking this very steep price on the Cardinals, but if you wanted to, I think the under is very live in this game. We expect Lynn to have a good outing. We definitely expect Feedy to have a good outing, so give him the under in this one. I think this has a very good chance to end up as one of our pinned comment picks. I mean, the Cardinals are 19-10-2 to the under, and we obviously don't expect the White Sox to be scoring a lot of runs, so definitely looking at the under in this one. Next up, guys, we got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. The Brewers got the win in game 1 of this series 3-1, so they can feel pretty good about that. They're 20-11 on the season, so off to a very good start. They're currently in the top spot in the NL Central, but the Cubs are in hot pursuit, so it's going to be interesting to see how this race develops down the stretch here. The Brewers are handing the ball here to Tobias Myers, who's 0-1 with a 4.50 ERA to start the season. He's only making his 3rd start of the year. His last time out, things didn't go great against the Yankees. He gave up 4 earned runs over 5 innings. He did have 5 strikeouts, but he gave up 2 home runs in that game, so not a dominant performance. The Brewers' offense in general this season has been very good. They're clearly a top 5 offense in the majors right now. William Contreras is off to a good start. This team, they're just hitting the ball pretty well. I mean, they scored 15 runs over their last 2 games of their series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Only 3 runs in game 1 of the series against the Cubs, but I think they'll definitely take it. We don't have any big question marks here about this offense. They're going up against the Chicago Cubs, who are struggling a little bit offensively right now, obviously only scoring a single run here in game 1. They're handing the ball in this one to Jameson Taillon, who's off to a fantastic start. He's 2-0 with a 1.50 ERA. He dominated the Mets his last time out. He's so far this season, 3 starts, 3 dominant starts. Dominated the Marlins, the Houston Astros, and then the Mets. So can feel very, very good about handing him the ball. How do we feel about the Cubs offense right now? I mean, they haven't exactly been trending in a positive direction. They're 20th in the majors in team batting average, 13th in on-base percentage. So don't feel terrible about it, but don't feel great. And yeah, both starters are looking decent, but not elite right now. So what do we really expect in this one? We've got the Cubs -125. We have the Milwaukee Brewers +112, and Milwaukee is a very nice 13-4 on the road this season. We see Chicago is 10-4 at home though, so that kind of cancels each other out there. Looking at the trends against the over/under, which is currently sitting at 8, we see that Milwaukee is 18-12-1 to the over, which is an MLB best number. But do we expect them to be scoring a whole bunch of runs here against Taillon? I don't really think we see that. Guys, I don't have a great read on this one. My gut is kind of pointing here towards the Milwaukee Brewers at that small plus number, but with Taillon on the mound, like, he's an absolute monster, so don't really know which way to go in this one. I guess give me a small taste of the Milwaukee Brewers if you're begging to bet this game, but I'm not going to be on this one. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Rockies come to this game fresh off of a Game 1 win. That has to feel pretty good for them. They've been having a tough time. They're only 8-24 on the season. They're hitting the ball in this one to Austin Gomber, who's 0-2 to start the year with a 4.50 ERA. He's coming off a pretty mediocre start against the Astros. 4 earned runs over 7 innings. He gave up 3 home runs in that game. Not a great look. The start before that was much better against the Padres. Start before that was decent against the Phillies. So the guy hasn't been terrible this year, but you can't really count on getting run support from the Rockies. I mean, their offense has looked pretty freaking bad. They're bottom third of the majors in basically every statistical category when it comes to hitting. So not a lot of positives. They have to be very, very excited to just win that game. You could tell by the way they celebrated that it's felt pretty rough lately. So we'll see what they can do here moving forward. But they're taking on another very cold opponent. We've seen the Pirates lose 5 in a row. They're not having a good time. They're 14-19 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Jared Jones, who's 2-3 with a 3.18 ERA. His last start was not the best against the San Francisco Giants. He gave up 3 earned runs on 5 innings. 6 hits, 2 home runs surrendered in that game. He's given up at least 1 home run. He's actually given up 2 home runs in 3 different starts this season, and he's only started 5 games. So the guy can definitely throw some mistake pitches out there, and I think the Colorado Rockies are a team that can hit those mistake pitches at least occasionally. The Pirates in general have not been hitting anybody's pitches. They're a terrible offensive team. All of a sudden, it looks like they're just falling off a cliff right now, not scoring any runs. Over their last 5 games, like during this winning streak, they have not scored more than 2 runs, it doesn't look like to me. No, they have not. So been very, very tough going here for the Pirates offense. Guys, this seems kind of like a crazy spot to me. You see the Pirates minus 200. That's kind of bonkers. I mean, I'm not expecting miracles here from the Colorado Rockies, and this isn't going to be one of my pinned comment plays, but I think it's worth taking a little bit of a flyer here on the Rockies plus 172. I don't think the Pirates deserve to be 2-1 favorites against anybody right now. Looking at the trends in terms of the over-under for this game, we see that both teams have slight trends to the under, with Pittsburgh having borderline significant trend to the under, and you can find 8s or 7.5s out there. I'm not really too interested in either one of those. If you're going to bet this game, give me the Rockies plus 172, but once again, not a core play. Next up, guys, we got the Toronto Blue Jays going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Blue Jays took the loss there in Game 1 of the series, 9-3. Tons of offense in this game is something we did not see coming. The Blue Jays are probably pretty crushed with how things have started off this season. They're 15-18 overall, not where they thought they'd be. They're handing the ball in this one to Kevin Guzman, who's 1-3 on the season with a 4.50 ERA. He's going to be making 6th start of the year, and his last time out, he was dominant against the LA Dodgers. Yeah, guys, that's pretty crazy. If you have a dominant outing and get the win against the Dodgers, you can feel pretty good about that. He gave only a single run. It was a home run in that one. He gave up 5 hits over 7 innings and struck out 5. Very, very elite performance there, and maybe he's turning something of a page here. He hasn't been terrible this season at all. His only negative numbers really come from his first 2 starts, and his last 3 starts have been pretty good. Like, can feel decent about that. We cannot, however, feel decent about the Toronto Blue Jays bats. They have been terrible. They're all the way down in 26th in the majors in terms of runs scored. No positives really to report here. This is just not a team that's hitting the ball well, and it's starting to look like this just might be who they are this season. They're going to need to find a way to score some runs here, going up against the Washington Nationals, who scored 9 runs in Game 1 of this series. So major offensive outbursts from a team that isn't really prone to offensive outbursts. They're handing the ball in this game to Jake Irvin, hoping he can maybe kind of keep things going here. I mean, his last start against Miami Marlins, he looked very good. 6 innings, 2 earned runs. That'll definitely work, but the start before that, he got just absolutely obliterated by the LA Dodgers. So that's a tough look. He's 2-2, like I said. His ERA definitely ballooned from that terrible start against the Dodgers. So overall this season, he has not looked terrible, though Nationals bats in general haven't looked amazing, but they are coming off a very good hitting performance, and this team is 16-16 overall, much better than originally projected in the preseason. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Nationals are plus 152. The Blue Jays are minus 170. That seems pretty generous there for the Blue Jays, especially they're a 7-11 team on the road this year, so that's not great. Washington is only 5-8 at home, and guys, I don't think we're too interested in the side in this game. We're going to be on that under again. I don't know if this will make it into our pin comment plays, but it's definitely got a shot. We like the way both pitchers are looking right now. I think both offenses are pretty bad in general. I know we saw a lot of runs scored there in Game 1 of this series, but I think that'll cool off. There's 8.5s out there. We see Toronto is 20-13 to the under. Washington is 17-13-2 to the under. Guys, we're just going to go ahead and play that trend. Give me under 8.5 in this one. Cruising right along here, guys, we're looking at the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Marlins come into this game right now. They're currently in the top of the 9th right now with the A's up 3-0. So I think they can pretty much salt that one away unless there's some sort of a huge collapse. The Marlins did come into this series playing pretty well, so they likely feel good about that, but their season overall obviously hasn't been great. They're handing the ball to Trevor Rogers. He's 0-4, still looking for his first win of the season. He's got a 4.31 ERA. He's coming off a serviceable start and then like a pretty questionable start. I mean, you don't expect this guy to do well against the Atlanta Braves for sure, and he did have one decent start against the Braves this year, but he got knocked around a little bit by the Washington Nationals. I mean, I guess 3 earned runs in 5 innings isn't a disaster, but he's had some control issues this year. He hasn't given up a ton of home runs or anything like that, but he's had some games where he's given up a lot of hits, so I don't think he's a starter we can feel great about. And how do we really feel about the Marlins bats? Well, they're coming off of just getting shut out, and while they did sweep their series against the Colorado Rockies, there haven't been a ton of positives here for this team. I mean, not a lot of good things happening. They're selling off one of their players right now. There's a bunch of trade rumors and trade talk going on. It sounds like that's happening, so in general, we don't like where the Marlins are at as a team, as an organization, or as a team that could put up much of a fight here against the Oakland A's, who come into this game. They're going to be 16-17 overall if they can hang on there in the top of the ninth inning. They'll have won 5 in a row, and they're just kind of firing on all cylinders right now. They're handing the ball to Paul Blackburn, who's been very good this season. He's 2-1 with a 3.34 ERA. He's coming off his worst start of the year, however. He got shelled by the Baltimore Orioles. He gave up 6 earned runs over 4 innings of work, and honestly, his last couple of starts have been a little bit tough, so maybe he was just kind of feeling it there in the early goings, pitching against like the Tigers, the Washington Nationals, and the Cardinals, teams that haven't gotten off to a great start hitting the ball. So we'll have to see what he can do in this one. We don't have a ton of faith in him though, and we don't have a ton of faith here in the Oakland Athletics bats. Although they've been hitting the ball a little bit better lately, they're still very far down there, guys. They're not quite White Sox bad, but they're in that same kind of category. They've only scored 98 runs this season. They're dead last in team batting average, close to dead last in team on base percentage. This is just not a good hitting team. Looking at the numbers for this one, we see the A's are minus 116. The Marlins are plus 100. We got an over-under of 8 or 7.5. You can find both numbers out there. Guys, I don't think this is a game that we have too much interest in. I do think there's a decent shot here that we see Blackburn have a bounce back. So if you're really wanting to bet this game, I'll take the Oakland A's minus 116. But the odds of this ending up in our pinned comment play seem pretty slim to me. Next up, guys, we got the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a Game 1 loss. They lost 4-3 in Game 1 of this series, so not exactly what they had in mind, but a close game nonetheless. The Giants are only 15-18 on the season. They're hitting the ball in this one to Keaton Winn, who's 3-3 with a 3.18 ERA, coming off just 4 dominant starts in a row, I'll say. I mean, his last time out against the Pirates, he gave only a single run through 6 innings. Start before that against the Mets, only a single run in 6 innings on 4 hits. The guy has been just absolutely dealing right now. He hasn't been going up against the toughest hitting teams, though, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares here against the Philadelphia Phillies, a much better hitting team. The Giants' offense in general, not good, guys. They scored 3 runs in their last game, 3 runs in the game before that, 2 in the game before that, and got shut out the game before that. So just not a great hitting team. 20th in the majors in runs scored, 21st in on-base percentage. Nobody's really slugging the ball for them. No major positive signs coming out of this offense. Like, I just don't think the Giants are going to be a very good hitting team, and I know that's not a real big shock. They're going to need to score some runs, though, going up against the Phillies, who come into this game 22-11. They've won 3 in a row, and they've won 7 of the last 8 overall. We're seeing all kinds of hype right now around this team, and they kind of deserve it. They're playing well. They're handing the ball in this one to Rangers. Suarez, who's off to a dazzling start. He's 5-0 with a 1.32 ERA, so nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we expect him to come back to earth someday, but man, I don't know when that's going to be, because his last time out against the San Diego Padres, he looked almost unhittable. I mean, he gave it 3 hits and a single earned run over 8 innings. Like, that is a fantastic start. He did give up a home run in that game, but he had 8 strikeouts and no walks. The guy's control is looking great right now. He dominated the Reds in the start before that, dominated the Rockies in the start before that. Like I said, not going up against elite offenses right now, but he has looked borderline unhittable, and he's going up against another team that is clearly not an elite offense. Guys, the Phillies' offense right now has looked a little bit better. I mean, they've scored 7, 2, and 4 runs over their last 3 games. 4 runs in their opening game of this series, so they can feel pretty decent about that. And while they are going up against a relatively tough pitcher, this is a squad we just feel like they can put together some runs by hook or by crook. They're 5th in the majors in team batting average, 7th in the majors in on-base percentage, 12th in the majors in runs scored, so we can honestly expect them to start scoring a little bit more. And guys, I think that's what we're going to be looking at in this game. I like the Phillies in this one a very solid amount. We can expect Suarez to go deep into the game, which avoids some of that drama which comes with taking the Philadelphia Phillies and when their bullpen ends up in the game. So we're going to go ahead and take the Phillies in this one. I think they're in a very good spot. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Angels got a 6-0 win in Game 1 of this series. Not something we saw coming, not something the odds makers saw coming either. Pretty great performance by them, and they needed it. I mean, they haven't been looking too hot lately, and 6 runs is a good day for their offense, and definitely shutting out a team like the Guardians is an insanely good day for their pitching staff. The Angels are going to be handing the ball in this one to Reed Detmers. He's off to a very good start. He's 3-2 with a 3.12 ERA. His last time out, though, I guess kind of his last 2 starts, he's given up a little bit. I mean, his last time out against the Twins, 9 hits and 5 earned runs over only 5 innings, so not a great start. Maybe the guy's not trending in the best direction right now, and man, you're going to need to pitch absolutely absolutely lights out to get wins for the Angels because their offense hasn't looked great either, and with Mike Trout out for God knows how long, things are not shaping up good for them this season. It's going to be pretty tough out there. I mean, they're only 18th in the majors in runs scored, and that's a number that's definitely going to regress. They need to score some runs, you would think, at least against the Cleveland Guardians, who are 20-12 in the season, but they've lost 4 of their last 5 games overall. Their bats have really cooled down, and we are not liking what we're seeing out of Cleveland. They're handing the ball in this one to Ben Lively, who's going to be making his 4th start of the season. He's 0-1 on the year, but he's got an ERA of only 2.30, and he's looked pretty decent. He didn't go deep into his game against the Braves. He only went 4 1/3. He gave up 4 hits, but only a single earned run, so not a disaster start. But in his 2 starts against the Boston Red Sox this year, he's looked good, so it'll be interesting to see how he looks here going up against the Angels. Not exactly an elite hitting team, but they're coming off a 6-run performance, so we'll have to see. The problem recently for the Guardians has been their offense, which just has not been good lately. I mean, they got off to such a crazy start to the year. They're still top 5 in terms of runs scored, but all those other numbers are falling pretty quickly. Team batting average all the way down to 11th, team on base percentage all the way down to 9th, and this is from being in probably 1st or 2nd place in the majors, if I remember correctly, at where their peak was. So this is not a team that's trending in a positive direction offensively. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Angels are plus 120, the Guardians are minus 136. Those numbers pretty much make sense to me. We have a middle of the road amount of respect for both of these starting pitchers right now. Both teams are showing very slight trends towards the over, but I don't trust the Guardians' bats at all right now, so we're not interested in the over. The over-under is only at 8 or 7.5. We don't really have enough faith in the pitchers in this one, so guys, just in general, I don't love this one. If you're forcing me to bet it, I guess I'll take Cleveland minus 136 in a bounce-back spot, but I don't have a lot of faith in this game. In general, it's not going to be one I'm betting myself. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. Baltimore came through for us and got the 3-0 win there in Game 1 of this series. They've won 4 out of their last 5 overall, and they're 21-11 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to John Means, who's off to a 1-2 start with a 2.66 ERA, so that will definitely play. His last time out against the Boston Red Sox, he gave up 2 runs on 3 hits over 6 1/3, so a very solid outing, and he's just looked very good this season overall. No terrible games. I mean, maybe his worst game of the season was his first start of the year. That was against the St. Louis Cardinals, where he gave up 3 runs, but he had a good outing against the Houston Astros, a good outing against the Cleveland Guardians, so definitely feel good about handing the ball to him, and you feel great if you're the Baltimore Orioles hitters, who are off to a great start. They're 2nd in the majors in runs scored, 1st in slugging percentage. They are all the way down to 17th in on-base percentage, so they do rely pretty heavily on the long ball and on just power hitting in general, but when you're hitting the ball that well, I don't think you have to be too worried about it, and you've got to feel great hitting the ball in the great American ballpark. They're going up against the Cincinnati Reds, who've lost 3 in a row now. They're down to 16-16 on the season, and they're handing the ball to Andrew Abbott, who's 1-3 on the year, but he's got a 3.27 ERA, so not terrible, but he hasn't exactly faced a murderer's row of offensive opponents. He did look decent against the Phillies. He went 4 1/3, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, 4 walks and 3 strikeouts. His last time out, he did strike out 7 against the Texas Rangers, but he gave up 4 earned runs and 5 1/3, so not looking dominant right now, and neither is the Cincinnati offense, guys. They got shut out in Game 1 of the series. They scored 2, 4, and 5 runs in their 3 games against the San Diego Padres. This team, man, they got off to a hot start. We've seen Elly De La Cruz slow down quite a bit. They're down to 10th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in team batting average, guys. 26th in on-base percentage with a 299 on-base percentage. This is just not a team we can get behind right now. I don't care who's out there on the mound for him. So with John Means looking so good in the early goings here and Baltimore hitting the ball well and in a very hitter-friendly park, we are going to be on the Baltimore Orioles for sure. This could end up being one of our bigger bets of the day, guys. I don't usually give those out because I don't want you putting all your eggs in one basket, but we like Baltimore a lot in this one. I think they're in for another win. I think they're going to score probably more than 3 runs in this game. Looking at the trends in the over-under, it's at 9 or 9.5, and both teams are showing trends towards the over, but we're not worried about that. We're going with Baltimore in this one. Next up on the docket, guys, we got the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. We saw the Royals take the 7-1 win in Game 1 of this series. We'll put that one on the board. We had that one for sure. The Rangers can't feel great right now. They're 17-16 on the season. They haven't been having a fantastic start to their year by any stretch of the imagination, but they're playing in the AL West, so when you're in the AL West, you always have a chance. They're handing the ball in this one to Dane Dunning. He's 3-2 with a 4.13 ERA and has been looking pretty decent. His last time out against the Reds, he went only 5 1/3 innings, so not a super long start, but not a terrible start. Gave up 2 runs, only one of them was earned, and had 10 strikeouts. So that's a pretty dominant performance in general. Not going to really knock him for that one, but Yeah, I mean, the Rangers are 3-2 in games that he started this year, so he's off to a decent start for sure, but he gave up 4 runs to the Seattle Mariners. 2 of his starts this year were against the Houston Astros back when they weren't hitting the ball like absolutely at all, so we're going to take some of his numbers here with a little bit of a grain of salt. The Rangers offense had a pretty hot start to the season in general, but those numbers have been consistently falling. They only scored 1 run in game 1 of this series. They did score 6 runs and 7 runs in 2 of their games against the Washington Nationals, so I guess we'll give them credit for that, but they didn't score a ton of runs in their series against the Reds, had a hard time scoring against the Seattle Mariners, which everybody does, but in general, I'm not too high on this offense right now. They're going to need to score some runs against the Kansas City Royals, who are now 20-13 on the season. Off to a very good start. They've won 3 in a row coming into this game. They obviously got that dominant win in game 1 of the series. We saw Perez hit a 3-run home run in that one to extend their lead, so the Royals are definitely feeling great right now. They probably don't feel too bad hitting the ball to Michael Wacha, but maybe not great. He's only 1-3 with a 4.24 ERA, and we've seen the Royals go only 2-3 in his starts, but his last time out against the Tigers, he didn't look great. I mean, he was pitching on the road in that one, but he gave up 9 hits over 5 2/3. Clearly didn't have his normal stuff. He's a little bit more of a strikeout pitcher. 4 earned runs is not the norm for him this season at all. He's been good, but not fantastic, so we're going to have to approach his starts here with a little bit of caution. The Royals haven't been an elite offensive team by any stretch of the imagination, but those numbers are trending in a positive direction. They're all the way up to 13th in the majors in runs scored. Salvador Perez has been absolutely just killing the ball here this season. In general, he's still batting over 350. He's got 8 home runs, 30 RBIs. Those are numbers that'll definitely work, all while being a very reasonable catcher. So major props to him. Team batting average for the squad, though, is only 19th in the majors, and their team on base percentage is 22nd. So we don't really look to them as a team that's going to score a ton of runs, and that kind of makes sense when you look at the trends. We see the over-under is currently at 9 for this game. The Rangers are 19-13-1 to the under. Kansas City is 21-10-2 to the under, one of the bigger under teams in the major league. So, guys, we're going to be on this under for sure. I don't think we're going to see much offense from either side. Neither team is looking great right now at the plate. And while I don't have a crazy amount of faith in these two starters, I think against these two offenses, the under makes a good amount of sense. Will this make it as a pinned comment play, though? We're going to have to wait and see. Next up, guys, we got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. The Mets come into this game. They took the 10-8 loss in game 1 of this series, so a crazy high-scoring game given what these two teams are usually putting on the board. The Mets are going to be handing the ball in this one to Christian Scott, who's going to be making his first appearance of the season. It'll be interesting to see what this young guy can do. He's a big right-hander, so we'll see what kind of stuff he's got out there going up against big league hitters. It'll be interesting to see. The Mets in general this season haven't looked amazing, obviously. I mean, they're only 16-16 on the year, exactly 500. They've been a pretty middle-of-the-road offensive team overall. They're 17th in terms of runs scored, 18th in batting average, 14th in on-base percentage. Like I was saying, guys, extremely middle-of-the-road outfit here. They're going to need to find a way to score some runs going up against the Tampa Bay Rays, who scored 10 runs in the first game of the series. We saw Randy Arozarena hit a 445-foot solo home run, so that had to feel pretty good. And this team, man, the offense is definitely getting back on track, it feels like. And if the pitching can follow suit, I think this is a squad that can kind of go on a run, at least potentially here. They're hitting the ball in this one to Zach Littell, who's 1-2 with a 3.27 ERA, coming off of a good but kind of weird start against the Chicago White Sox. He gave up 8 hits, but only 2 runs. In his start before that against the Tigers, he gave up 9 hits and 6 runs, so not great. We're definitely approaching his starts with a little bit of trepidation here. And while the Rays offense has been coming alive a little bit over the course of the season, it hasn't been great. So we've definitely got some question marks looking at this game. We see that the Rays are 9-9 at home. The Mets are 7-6 on the road. The Rays are minus 118 in this one, so it's close, and the Mets are plus 102, so it's close to a coin flip game. Guys, I don't really know which way to go on this one. We obviously don't know what to expect here from Christian Scott. If you're going to make me bet this game, you're going to force me to do it. I guess give me the Rays minus 118. I mean, it's a little bit of just going with the known quality against the unknown quality, so give me the Rays in this one, I guess, but not a pinned comment play. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. Seattle took the 5-3 loss here in game 1 of the series. They now lost 2 in a row, but they're 17-15 on the year, and they're currently in the top spot in the AL West. They're handing the ball in this game to Logan Gilbert, who's off to a fantastic start to his year, guys. He's 2-0 with a 2.03 ERA. That will definitely play. His last time out, he had kind of a bad start for him, guys. He did give up 2 earned runs in 6 1/3 on 4 hits. He also had 9 strikeouts and 1 walk in that performance. So, yeah, if that's one of your bad starts, that'll definitely work. Start before that, he went 6 2/3, gave up 2 hits and no runs against the Texas Rangers. The guy is absolutely dealing right now. He's a tall right-hander, and he is just pitching great here to start the season. The problem for the Mariners has been their offense. Their starting pitching has been so good, but their offense has been so bad, guys. They are 26th in the majors in runs scored, 27th in on-base percentage. Just not a team that hits the ball well. They can't get runs across the plate. I mean, they did score 3 runs, and you kind of expect to get wins when you score 3 runs as the Seattle Mariners, and they lost that game. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough look for them if they can't find a way to score a little bit better here. But, I mean, they've got amazing starting pitching for sure. They're going to need that amazing starting pitcher to keep on going here against the Houston Astros, who came through for us in Game 1, winning 5-3. We'll put that one on the board for sure. The Astros, they've been playing quite a bit better here. They've won 5 of their last 6 overall, and they're going to be handing the ball in this one to Framber Valdez. He's off to a 1-0 start with a 2.60 ERA, so he's been dealing out there to start his season. His last start was against Colorado Rockies, so take that one with a little bit of a grain of salt, but start before that was against the Blue Jays, and he went 7 2/3, 6 hits, no runs. He's shown great control in his second 2 starts of the season. First start, he walked 6, has not walked a batter since then. So things are definitely looking up for him and for the Houston Astros, who are finding a way to hit the ball better a little bit here. They scored 5, 8, 2, and 10 runs over their last 4 games. Those are the kind of numbers that'll definitely play, and it's kind of what we would expect. I mean, you see a team getting on base the 5th most in the majors, getting on base at a 329 clip. You're going to expect them to eventually start scoring some runs. I mean, their slugging percentage is good, their batting average is good. Like, they just weren't getting runs around, and it seemed like it was a matter of time until they started to break loose, and it seems like they're finally doing that here lately. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Mariners are plus 126, which seems insane with Gilbert on the mound, but until you think about how bad their offense has been, the Astros are minus 140 in this one. The over-under is currently sitting at 8. We see Seattle is Major League best 22, 7, and 2 to the under this year, so it's definitely something you have to consider. And the Astros, despite the fact they're hitting better now, are 19, 10, and 2 to the under. So, guys, we've got 2 very good starters out there. We've got an over-under number that's at 8, so it's fairly normal, but still, guys, I don't know, man. I'm wanting to take either the Astros minus 140 in this one. I think has some value, but I probably like the under more. I mean, they're not a team, like neither team's hitting the cover off the ball. The Astros are looking better, but going up against an elite arm in Logan Gilbert, give me the under in this one. I don't know if it'll make it as a pinned comment play, but I think we see offense at a premium in this game. Next up, guys, we get the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Padres come into this game. They're currently sitting in the 9th inning. The bottom of the 9th inning, we get the Padres up 7-1. So I think they can feel pretty good about their chances in that one. They've won 2 in a row, but they're still only 16 and 18 on the year. So not having a great time. They're handing the ball in this one to Michael King. He's off to a 2-3 start with a 5.00 ERA, and things have not been working out for him lately. In his last start against the Phillies, got roughed up for 6 runs in 5 1/3. The start before that against the lowly Colorado Rockies, he gave up 6 runs on 8 hits and 3 2/3. So yeah, he's had two very good starts. A dominant start against the Brewers, and his first start of the year was dominant against the Giants. But other than that, things have not been going well here for King. And the Padres offense has actually been very, very good. I mean, all year long, they've been hitting the ball pretty well. They're 3rd in terms of runs scored, 6th in batting average, 10th in on-base percentage. They just haven't really had great starting pitching. And when you're having to score like 6 or 8 runs per game, that can be pretty tough. That can be a large demand to put on any array of hitters there. So we're going to have to hope the Padres can keep hitting the ball in this one, going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are 14 and 18, about to be 14 and 19 on the season. They just acquired Bowman from the Twins, so we'll see if that can help them out a little bit. But this team, they haven't had a great time. They're handing the ball to Brandon Pfaadt, who's off to a 1-1, 4.63 ERA type start to his season. His last 2 starts, or I guess we'll give him credit for his last 3 starts, have all been very good. A good start against the Cubs, 2 earned runs in 7 innings. Against the Cardinals, 2 earned runs in 5 1/3. And then against the Mariners, 2 earned runs again on 6 innings. But those aren't elite hitting teams at all, guys. I mean, the Cubs have been slumping. They've got the potential to be a good hitting team, but the Cardinals, terrible hitting team, and the Mariners, one of the worst offenses in the majors. So we're not going to give him too much credit right now, but he's off to a decent start. We'll give him decent. Decent is the grade that we're giving him for this one for sure. The Diamondbacks offense in general got off to a crazy start, and they're still hitting the ball, I mean, a little bit. They didn't have a very good time in that series against the Dodgers, though, and they only scored 1 run here in Game 1 of this game against in the series against the Padres. So things not exactly looking up for this squad overall. The odds makers don't agree with that, though. They've got Arizona at minus 124. The Padres are plus 110, so that's a little bit surprising to me. I mean, while King hasn't been amazing, he also hasn't been terrible, but he's been terrible lately, so I guess that's what they're leaning on. Guys, if you really want to bet this game, I don't think I'm going to be betting it with you, but I like the Diamondbacks minus 124 a little bit at home. I mean, they're 8-8 at home. They're in a bounce back spot against a pitcher who's been having some trouble lately, and Arizona's shown an ability to just pound the ball occasionally this season, so give me the Diamondbacks in this one, but no bet here for me. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. Things are all tied up in the bottom of the 8th inning right now for them. It's 2-2 with one out in the bottom of the 8th, so it'll be interesting to see which way that game goes. But the Braves, they could definitely use some wins. They've been having a little bit of a hard time lately. They've lost 3 out of their last 5 going into this series against the Dodgers, so we'll see what they can do here. I mean, they're obviously one of the better teams in the majors. They're handing the ball in this one to Bryce Elder, who's 1-0 with a 1.50 ERA. He's going to be making his 3rd start of the year. His last time out, he was going up against the Guardians. He went 5 1/3, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits. He had 4 walks in that outing, so obviously he didn't have his best stuff, didn't have all of his control in that one. But in general this season, he's been very, very good. The Braves' offense has also been elite this season. They're top 5 in every major statistical hitting category. They can feel great about how they've been just getting runs across the plate. They're 5th in the majors in runs scored with 157, 2nd in team batting average. We saw Marcell Ozuna get off to a crazy start. He's calmed down a little bit lately, but still hitting the ball, and I think we just feel good in general about this offense. They're going to need to hit the ball, though, going up against the Dodgers, who are obviously one of the elite offensive teams in the majors. The Dodgers are 20-13 coming into this series, and depending on how this game that's currently underway goes, they're handing the ball in this one to Tyler Glasnow, though, and the guy has been dealing here out of the gate. He's 5-1 with a 2.72 ERA. His last start against the Toronto Blue Jays, he went crazy. 9 strikeouts, only gave up a single earned run and 2 hits over 6 innings. Start before that against the Mets, 10 strikeouts in 8 innings. He's just been looking very, very good. He did have a weird letdown spot against the Washington Nationals where he got shelled, but other than that, he's been elite this season, and I think he'll definitely be up for this game against the Braves. Looking at the Dodgers offense, obviously we know it's elite. Mookie Betts is crazy, off to a wild start. They're first in basically every major category when it comes to offense. They scored 177 runs already this season, guys. On-base percentage of over 350, team batting average of over 270. Like, there's no getting around it. This is just one of the best offensive teams in baseball right now. The odds makers agree with that for sure. They've got the Dodgers minus 166 in this one. The Braves are plus 145. I don't really know which way we're leaning in terms of who's going to win this game. I mean, I guess we lean towards the Dodgers here, but that price doesn't seem very appealing to me. And looking at the over-under, we see mixed trends here, and neither one of them are really showing major trends one way or the other. The over-under is 9 or 8.5, and we do expect both of these starters to look good. So if we see both bullpens hold things together, maybe this is going to be one of those like low-scoring, tight series. I mean, it's 2-2 going into the bottom of the 8th. We do see some runners on base here, but guys, if you're forcing me to bet this game, give me under 9, but I'm not going to be betting this one myself. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.